An unprecedented experiment developed by the researchers was to measure the geodesic curvature between two buildings over a long distance using high-precision GPS.
Considering the round planet, you have to mark a point from one extreme to the other, from a certain distance, precisely to prove mathematically whether the Earth is round or not. So we got two cities, far away. We take two buildings, one in a city in the south and one in a city in the north. This one in the south and this one in the north.
To carry out the experiment of the geodesic curvature, two buildings were chosen of the same height and sea level, as far apart from each other as possible. High-precision GPS measurements are done at the base and at the top of each building. According to the theory of the spherical Earth, the distance of the measurements of the bases must be different than the measurements of the top, even in a few meters. But if the measurements are equal, this would show that the Earth has no curvature. In order for the results to come out with the best possible precision, the CTZ researchers invited INCRA, the National Institute of Colonization and Agrarian Reform. This is one of the most respected organizations in Brazil, and one of the best in the world in the area of topography. INCRA engineers and technicians met with the researchers from the CTZ and Daquila to decide on the realization of the experiment, which would be evidence, or not, of the sphericity of the Earth. In the view of the INCRA technicians, the measures will be different. If this is true, it'll be one of the strongest evidences that the Earth is actually spherical. The first building chosen was at Torres Beach in Rio Grande do Sul. The second building was chosen in Natal, in Rio Grande do Norte, at a distance of 3,050 kilometers from each other, with the same altitude in relation to sea level.
This is a GPS L1, L2 signal receiver. We'll do a reading from this point to chart the base. And from that base, we'll do the vertical readings relating to our goal. And afterwards, we will use another equipment, which is a total station, to make the readings of the vertical and horizontal angles.
To what conclusion did INCRA surveyors arrive in relation to the curvature of the Earth? Measurements were done of the bases and tops of two buildings, one in Torres, Rio Grande do Sul, and another in Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, 3,050 kilometers apart from each other. According to the theory of the spherical Earth, the distance of the measurements of the bases must be different than the measurements of the top, even in a few meters. But if the measurements are equal, this would show that the Earth has no curvature. Remembering the opinion of the INCRA engineers before the experiment,
probably there will be in relation to the extension of this line, perpendicular to the baseline. I believe it will be longer.
Thinking of the Earth as a globe, the initial expectation was that the measurements were different.
But when the results arrived, the base and the top measurements were the same, showing that the two buildings are leveled upright. And here the opening angle, where we read the point here, the base of the building and its height, As we do this calculation here, on this plane, we will always find this distance here.
The identical measurements of the distance between the bases and the tops prove that between the two buildings there is no curvature, proving that the Earth has no spherical shape.